Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for being patient and coming on the show with me. It's an honor. I'm such a huge fan of yours, and I've been thinking about doing an interview with you ever since I saw you on Breaking Bad, and
Oh boy.
in that incredible role you had.
Oh man, thank you. Yeah, people recognize me as the skank a lot. Um, they usually run from me, but I'm like, no, I don't carry an ATM machine with me. It's a little heavy to carry around and stuff.
Although I think you should give them out little tiny miniatures and sign them.
Well, sometimes I'll stop in a convenience store and I'll just stand by the ATM and wait for someone to maybe approach. No. Yeah,
uh,
that was a wonderful opportunity. Yeah, that was a rough one, but I was thrilled I got to do it.
Talk to me about growing up in Tennessee and how you discovered acting as your chosen career.
Well, it kind of just came to me. Knoxville. I grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is East Tennessee near the Smoky Mountains, and it's of course, a big college town. University of Tennessee is there. They have an unusually fine theater program. They've had a professional Lord company in residence since the 70s. And they also had a wonderful outdoor summer stock theater that the kids would do in the mountains in the summer. And as a child, I think I was 9 when I first did my first play, and they did Sound of Music in this outdoor theater. And, everybody in my neighborhood was auditioning, and I was like, okay, I'll go. And my first role was Marta Von Trapp, the child that no one remembers. She wants a pink parasol for her birthday. I do remember that. But I went on to work at the summer stock for 4 more seasons. Wizard of Oz, we did Sound of Music again, and I just the the directors and professors would call my mom and say, "We need a kid in the ensemble of this Shakespeare play. Can Dale come be in it?" And so I just never looked back. My mom drove me back and forth to the UT, and I grew up doing plays there, and it was just a natural course for me to end up going to school there. Plus, it's what we could afford, and they had a really fine program. Yeah, I was lucky. Knoxville had a lot of culture and arts, and my mom and grandparents took me to see movies and plays and
Yeah.
ballet and opera, and well, maybe one opera. And
Do you like live performance over film and television?
you know, I've done so much of both now that it really is, it's equal. It's hard for me to pick one over the other. I will always love doing live theater. I think I've done at least a play a year since I've been at this, whether it's a tiny little showcase or little black box theater or a larger theater. But I love live theater. I love the rehearsal experience of building and creating and forming that unit, and then going out fresh in front of an audience every night where you only get one take. It's spontaneous, and there's nothing like that. But the more I've done film and TV, it's just a different focus, a different discipline, and um, I like learning every time I do something. So
Yeah, I've been told that every set you're on needs to be a schoolhouse. You need to learn from everything that you do.
yeah, it's true, and you're always working with. I think the one. Um, I think coming from theater, you learn, and I mean, I've been at this for a very long time. Maybe not so much with younger people that. Well, no, I'm not going to go in that direction. But you, I came to this with an appreciation for the collaborative
Mm.
aspect, where everybody's job is important. The guy taking the trash out off the set is just as important. The craft services. So, I love um, I love getting to know the crew, and I love watching what goes on behind the scenes, so that I can, kind of more and more understand. But there's this show I'm working on right now in New York is massive. It's a huge show for Amazon, and it's more like a film than anything. But
Wow.
it's just massive. The sets, the technical aspects, and the set designers. I learned from acting, of course. I'm working with the wonderful Walton Goggins, who I've worked with a couple of times before, and we get to square off against each other. And I love working with other actors and new directors. Jonah Nolan is directing this, and every time I'm on set, I just get different pieces of information, whether it's about the craft or it's technically what it's about, or just some sort of insightful wisdom. I love meeting new people and hearing their stories.
And as a young girl, getting into this business, you've had your obstacles, I would imagine.
Oh yes. Excuse me.
I know. I'm verklempt too, talking to you.
That's exactly what it is. It's my hotel coffee. Yes, there is a set etiquette, and you slowly learn. But I have been really lucky. I have worked with some incredible people over the years. I've been the kind of journeyman actor where I'm usually in a smaller supporting role, so I pop in and out. I'm usually not around for a long time. But on every project I'm on, the temperature is a little different on the set, the mood, and generally it's the star of the show and the director, but whoever's running the cast, the lead of the cast, sort of sets the tone. And I really haven't had any bad apples. I've been really lucky that almost every set I've been on.
Are you good at auditioning?
Not. What's happened now, Tony, this started happening, the self-taping started happening before COVID. And pretty much now, there's never going to be an in-room audition again. It's just not going to happen. This self-taping saves time and money, and I guess it's safer now, but I hate self-taping. I loathe it. I think it does a disservice. However, I've been auditioning my whole life, and I have auditioned way more and not gotten a project than gotten it. Wow. So I used to keep all of my audition sides, and at the end of the year, I'd go back and go, look at all those things that I didn't get, but wow. there'd be one or two that I did. And it's just, there's so many great people out there. There's so many good actors. And I know when I go in for a role that there's 10 of the usual suspects that they're also seeing. And one actress told me years ago, we're like racehorses, We're going to get one of us, but there's a few that are, leading the pack that might fall in line.
This portion of Screen Chatter is presented by VP Dental. Check out our great dental plans starting at just $16 per month. I would imagine as an actor, getting calls it sounds great, but do you fear being pigeonholed, and playing the same character over and over?
Well, that's kind of been my calling card, is getting pigeonholed and typecast. And I've said this in interviews before. I took a casting director workshop years ago. I moved to New York. I was in New York for 12 years right out of college because I came from theater before I relocated to LA. And I was shying away from doing this back in the day when you had to have like 4 monologues, 2 classical, 2 modern, 1 comedy, 1 drama. And I couldn't find a comedic modern monologue that fit me. And the casting director's like, what's wrong with you? Beth Henley, Southern playwrights. And I was like, no, I don't want to get typecast. He goes, Dale, you can show them your Ophelia years from now, but what they want to see is what you do, what is more special to you than anybody else in the room. That's what they want, is what's in your heart and soul. And being from the South, he goes, you may not have a thick Southern accent, but your Southern sensibilities are everywhere. And as soon as I started looking at Southern playwrights, I found a comedic monologue from an old, obscure Beth Henley play, and I started getting callbacks. I took that class because I was not auditioning well. I knew I wasn't. And that was a turning point for me. I started getting callbacks, and it was because they were seeing what I do best, I could relate organically to the material. And
Mm.
so, and my face reads hard, Appalachian, drug addict, prostitute, I don't know, whatever. It's a strong face. So it was sort of my calling card. And I certainly have had a wonderful career playing a lot of tough, gritty roles. You know, I did a lot of the episodic, also the sort of crying, grieving mother roles on the cop shows. And so, but every now and then I get a chance to expand. I got to do Unbelievable. I don't know if you saw that with Toni Collette and Merritt Weaver, where I got to play a cop. You know, she was kind of a laid back, you know, she was a forensics analyst, which is way over my head. But and I'm going to be playing another cop. Somebody. I'm usually everybody on the other side of the law. Another upcoming show, but with this film, A Love Song, Faye is probably very, very close to who I am in real life. I love the outdoors, and I love solitude, and I can be a bit of a loner. But in terms of doing something different, I never had a lead role in a film, and it terrified me. You know, I'm popping in and out usually. It's like, no, I don't think I can carry the whole film. So this young kid, Max Walker Silverman, took a chance on me and wrote this for me, and I really lucked out with him. He's an amazing talent and human being. So talk about learning. You know, it was a challenge. I pushed myself. I took that leap of faith, and I trusted him, and I think it worked out.
A Love Song is a beautiful film. It is absolutely so different from what I thought it would be, and your performance is just jaw-droppingly good.
Oh, thank you.
I imagine working with Wes Studi and people like that just buoy your performance up too.
Absolutely, it's such a blessing to have work with such fine actors, because it's just makes it so easy and effortless. And I'd never met Wes. I had seen his career. I think I have always had him in my mind from Last of the Mohicans, so I was terrified of him. But that was one of the things Max said about these characters, was because he chose both of us. He had both of us in mind when he wrote it. And he was like, here are two old, weathered actors who have consistently done these kinds of hard-bitten roles. And he wanted to see us in a softer, gentler light. And I thought that was lovely. Plus a little romance for a middle-aged couple. And Wes and I shared a house because this was my first job in COVID, and it was in August of 2020. And so there were no vaccines. And I said, I'm not getting on a plane to Colorado. No way am I getting on a plane, but I drove. And I drove 18 hours from LA, which was good preparation for my character. And
It's a beautiful drive.
It is gorgeous. And I love long distance driving. I've done it my whole life. And Wes lives in New Mexico, so he drove up. But once we had all quarantined in Telluride for 10 days, then they moved us an hour southeast, where we were filming this tiny town. And the crew was in two different houses. Wes and I were in a house together. But we didn't go anywhere. Everything was brought to us. We only went to get tested every other day, and then drove to set. But we instantly got along. Thank you. But we made a decision early on to not really discuss our characters or run the dialogue, because we wanted it to be fresh and feel real and spontaneous, because these two people have been so separate for so long. So, you know, we had the same politics. We'd watch the news, yell at the TV, watch Jeopardy, things like that. So it was fun.
Well, I've known Wes for a while, and he's such a good guy. He is such a brilliant human being.
Oh yeah, yes he is, and he's, Yes, he is. I hope to work with him again. I miss him. I've gotten to see him a couple of times recently at film festivals, and it's always fun when it's, you know, I'm up there with Max and Wes because they're both so eloquent. And they're like, oh, you guys speak.
Millions of people are losing their dental coverage every year or can't afford dental care due to the high cost. Just a simple cleaning can cost over $100. But there is an answer, TDA. For about $1 a day, Total Dental Administrators covers over 200 dental procedures. Whether you're an individual, a family, self-employed, or retired, TDA has a plan that's right for you, starting about $1 a day. So call or click for your free information kit and see how affordable dental health can be.
I want to ask you what your memories of doing Frasier was.
Oh. Well, I'd never done, I think that was 2003. 2003, I filmed that. And first story, I'd gone through a couple of rough years. I wasn't working much. I think I'd lost my insurance. I had lost my sister tragically in 2001, and I emotionally had a hard time. So when Frasier came along, actually Jeff Greenberg, the casting director, who I'd met like at a party when I first moved to LA, I looked around at my friend's party and I was like, do you know every casting director in town? Because I'm uncomfortable being here. But Jeff, when he called me in, it was like, Dale, I've been waiting for a role for you. He was waiting for a blue collar role. And he knew when this role came along that it was me. So I get the job, but this was because I lost my insurance. I guess I hadn't paid my dues. You know, I hadn't worked in a while. On television, I'd been waitressing my ass off, but there's a thing in the Screen Actors Guild called Station 13 where you haven't paid your dues, so you can't work until you paid your dues. So I am in rehearsal on the set of Frasier, because you rehearse several days and then you film it live, and I'm Station 13, and I don't have any money. I can't pay my dues. And I'm like, here I am on the richest set with the most highly paid actors in the world. Gee, do you think I could just walk up to Kelsey and say, Kelsey, I really want to do this show, but I need $1,000 to pay my dues. I'll give you my paycheck, you know? And I had a good friend that was working steadily employed as an actor, and he stepped up and loaned me the money, and I paid him right back when I got my paycheck. So, but the other thing about Frasier, it was the first time I'd been on that kind of a episodic sitcom with all the different cameras and learning, you know, all the different camera angles. And I just remember Kelsey, they were all so lovely, but Kelsey Grammer, there was something about the door opening and the light coming in, and they were trying to get me to keep my chin down. Because I have a big chin, I'm very self-conscious about it. And so Kelsey somehow caught on to the fact that he could see I was kind of self-conscious about my chin. And he walked over to me and he said something like, I can't do his voice. Oh, Dale, you have a lovely chin. You have a chin just like my wife's, lovely chin. And then I was like, okay, thanks. I don't care if it's casting shadows on the wall. But yeah, it was, you know, what a classy show to work on. I was thrilled. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that were on the show. Perry Gilpin, who played Roz.
Yeah.
You know, they're just incredible theatrical people, and and that's what they wanted, was more of a Moliere comedy, you know, on TV.
Exactly, and you're you know, there's all those different levels of heightened, you know, making it a little bigger or too big. But with Frasier, they did it brilliantly. It was never over the top. And, you know, to play with those those legends. And I've known Perry. She was very good friends with one of my dear friends from Tennessee. So when I mentioned that party I went to, it was actually at Perry's house, I think.
Oh.
So I know her peripherally through my friend Cam, but yeah, she's lovely.
She is. She's an amazing person as well.
Yeah.
And you and I share a movie. We share Wapple Street together, Danny Glover's film, and it was so much fun to watch you work. I came because Danny called me and said, "Look, I don't know a lot of people out here. Come on out and visit." And so I did. And there you were sitting at the bar.
Yeah, and in that little short wig, Crazy Kathy.
Yeah.
And Ian and Ash Nelms, I have done 3 films for them with sort of small roles in each one, and I just adore those boys. And they asked me if I would come and play and do Crazy Kathy, and I said, but of course I will.
Dale, our time is all up. I appreciate this. It went by so quick.
Thank you for being patient. It's been crazy with the schedule up and down. We never know when I'm working. So
well, that's part of life, and that's part of this business.
Right. I signed up for it. I'm not complaining, but it really you're a joy, and I do hope I'll see you in Utah. I'll let you know when I'm going to be there. Now that I have your contact.
You betcha, and I'll buy the coffee. It's on me.